Okay, so meditation is a multi-significant word, and it can mean anything we want it to mean. And there are thousands of different styles and types and practices, each focusing on a different sort of result. But here, the kind of meditation we practice is called Vipassana. And Vipassana comes from the Buddhist tradition, and it means, the word itself means to see things as they really are. To go behind the appearance of things, so we're no longer deluded by life and by the mind and what the mind may present to us. And this teaching was given to us by the Buddha. In the olden days it was called Satipatthana, and now in the modern times we call it Vipassana. Vipassana is to see things as they really are. Our practice is actually very simple, it's just not easy, and it demands, like everything that has value, it demands patience and dedication. Even from the way we sit, it's not necessary to sit like this, but it is necessary to put effort into your practice. If you sit in a chair or use a meditation stool or a number of cushions, it always requires the same thing, which is this energy where your back is straight but not stiff, where your shoulders are relaxed, where your head is down but not hanging in front of you, and your hands are just lightly clasped in front of you. Or you can use, sort of more recognized mudras like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. There are so many. But it doesn't really matter how you're sitting, as long as you have energy. It doesn't really matter how your hands are, as long as your attention is with the practice itself. So our Vipassana practice, traditionally called bare attention, is to give each object that arises into consciousness just enough attention to be aware of it, but not enough to become involved with it, not enough to become overwhelmed by it, not enough to want to throw it away or hold on to it, but to be with it peacefully, to recognize that this mind is just an endless stream of thoughts, moods, feelings and emotions. None of them you, none of them yours, and none of them what you are. So we can relax. If this mind is not really yours, you can relax. You're not responsible for it. The thoughts that come, they arrive from your past. It's your karma. They arise, you can see them, you can know them, and you can let go of any sort of possessiveness, any possessive quality you might have. And they fall away. And once we can practice in this way, which of course we can, but Vipassana is like anything else in life. Everything seems to be easy unless you want to be good at it, and then you have to apply yourself. So the Master is always looking for those people who will apply themselves, to sit, to live patiently with this mind that is not theirs, that arises and passes away, and recognize that all these things are just like clouds passing through a clear blue sky. They seem to have substance, they seem to have form, but you can reach out, but you can't hold a cloud, you just pass through it. And that's the nature of the mind. The things that seem to be so important and so valuable are actually empty. And what's important in your life is only important because you make it important. You put some pressure on yourself or on life to understand this means something, but actually does it? What does it really mean? It means something to you. If we go and look at a tree, if there are 3 of us or 4 of us, we go and look at a tree, how many trees do we see? Well, of course we see as many trees as there are people. The tree is the tree. But what we see is something unique and personal to us, and that is what dominates our world. That personal view based on our old karma, based on our perceptions, based on our habits, based on our perfections. We can understand the world from the perspective of Vipassana, because that world is completely personal. When we do this meditation, we turn inwards. We don't look at the person sitting next to us. We don't look at the person in front of us or behind. Their story is unfolding in front of them. And all they have to do is be with it patiently, lovingly, but not to identify with it. We begin to recognize that the world we experience is the one that we create for ourselves, moment after moment after moment. There isn't something else happening. It's just this personal world. And so we come to Vipassana practice because we want to be free. But free from what? You see, that's such a big question. When you come to do retreats and you come to sit with me or people like me, what is it you want? Why are you coming? And if you understand properly, then you come to free yourself from the cause of your unhappiness. And that's what Vipassana looks at. The Vipassana asks the question, when the only thing I want in my life is to be happy, why can't I be? Why do I have to meet jealousy and frustration and disappointment and heartbreak and all these things which are so uncomfortable? Why do I have to meet those things when the only thing I want are their opposites? I want security and peace and a smile on my face and a comfortable life. So in Vipassana we look at the cause of our unhappiness. Not the unhappiness itself, because that comes and goes like everything else. The nature of all phenomena is to be impermanent. We can't change that. We have to live with it. And when, of course, when the heart is open, that's what happens. We live peacefully and comfortably with all the things that we can't control. And we respond to life rather than simply reacting with this mind that shouts, it shouldn't be like this. It is like this. This is what it's like. So relax. We can divide Vipassana into three aspects. And the first aspect is what's called Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, and that's our starting point. It's a very important practice, because it's the starting point. It's the foundation of everything we're going to do. So we take some care with that. Anapanasati. The breath comes in, the breath goes out, the breath comes in, the breath goes out. And our attention is fixed there on the nose. You don't breathe. Breathing happens. It's so beautiful. Breathing happens. And all we have to do is put our attention to that naturally occurring phenomena. The breath comes in, the breath goes out. And then as we center ourselves in what's usually called concentration, but this idea of a focused mind, then we can begin to move into Vipassana proper, where we see the mind, we see the nature of the mind, that it's not you, it's not yours, it's not what you are, so you can relax. You can be at peace with all the things that you don't control. All those thoughts, moods, feelings and emotions. You can surrender into that. And now they no longer hurt you, they no longer harm you, because they're not seen as the enemy. They are seen as clouds passing through a clear sky. Again, so beautiful. But then the third part of our Vipassana practice is called Metta Bhavana, or the cultivation of love. But to understand that properly takes a long time. I already said everything in life can seem easy unless you want to be good at it. So when we speak about love, we're speaking about an open-hearted and unconditional, a boundless and limitless acceptance of all beings exactly as they are in this moment. The whole of life is only ever about a moment. And that includes you, because you're part of all beings. So we start with this being that we call self, to take a more loving and generous and compassionate attitude. That we make a mistake, but we don't make it into a crisis. We just acknowledge it as much as we can, but apologize if we need to, and then move on. Go to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. Mistakes are not the problem. Carrying them becomes the problem. So we have this loving attitude towards ourselves, this self-acceptance. And then we radiate that into the universe, into the world, so that all beings can benefit from our love, if you like. And why would you want to have love for all beings? The answer is simple, and yet often it's that very simplicity that complicates things. Why would you want to have love for all beings? Because it's better for you. It is better for you to live with a loving heart than a heart filled with anger or fear or greed or hatred. It's better for you. And if you think, oh well, perhaps people will take advantage of me, I've already said the first person you have to have this relationship with is yourself. When you have loving kindness, you take care of yourself. You do not become the victim to the manipulations of other people. And this is our Vipassana practice, these three aspects. For me, having done this for so many years now, I can only describe it as being so beautiful, but it's just not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so what it needs is commitment. Of course, at the beginning you come along because you want to just have some idea. I've heard about Vipassana. There are many styles of Vipassana, many styles, perhaps 13 different styles. And as with all things in life, you find the one that fits you. But you come along because you're curious, of course. That's how it all starts. And then if you find, oh, this in some way resonates in my heart, then we stay with this style of letting go, letting go, letting go. And if you let go a little, there's a little peace. And if you let go a lot, there's a lot of peace. And if you let go completely, complete peace. What is it that we're letting go of? The conditions of our unhappiness. That's what you're letting go of. That's what you only ever let go of. You're never letting go of your happiness. Of course not. And you're never letting go of some sort of perception of yourself. You're not going to disappear, but you're not going to suffer or struggle with life anymore. That's the ultimate goal. That's the direction that we walk in. This is the gift of the Buddha to all of us. You know, the Buddha sat under trees in India 2,600 years ago, struggling for this, and eventually he found it. And then out of the goodness and the kindness and the compassion in his heart, he shared it. And we, 2,600 years later, can hear these same Dharma teachings. And we can see their value and their relevance in our lives. And we can begin to apply them. And what we're applying is, it's not a technique, never a technique, but a practice, a way to understand things. And what is it that we're understanding? The traditional word is Dharma. Dharma, it means ultimate truth, that which is behind the appearance of things. We get lost in how things appear to be. But things are not as they appear to be, but nor are they otherwise. This paradox. But when, again, through the Vipassana practice, when we begin to see things as they really are, then we stop struggling. And we harmonize with Dharma. Dharma means truth. This is the thing that we have to harmonize with. There are many reasons why people don't want to do this. But in the end, it becomes the most important thing. If you want to be happy in your life, you have to move towards the truth. And give up your illusions and your delusions, no matter how comfortable they are. They can only take you to one place, which is more suffering or more unhappiness, more discontent. And so we have this practice, we can bring it into our daily life, which is, of course, the whole of the practice. We can sit for half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. And these are wonderful things to do. And of course, I would always recommend that people do this. But if you want to push, if you want to really understand the meditation properly and to go deeper, it's not an expression I like very much, but to go deeper into the practice itself by giving yourself more time, then you come and do a retreat. Vipassana retreats, what we present is traditional and authentic Vipassana retreats that I think they're not very difficult, but they do demand a commitment from you. We start at 5 o'clock in the morning, we finish at 10 o'clock at night. The retreats are in complete silence, except for the teacher, of course, and the assistant teacher, and you can speak to them. But between the group, there is a silence, and there is an emphasis on elegance and mindfulness and slowing everything down. When you do the walking meditation, we walk as beautifully, as elegantly, and as slowly as is comfortable for us. It's a process, of course. The first days are more difficult than the last days, of course. And when we walk around the Dharma center, when we go to take our food and when we eat, everything becomes part of the meditation. Everything becomes part of the meditation. It's so beautiful. And by doing this, what our meditation really is stopping. We go to a place, we retreat from life, and we leave life outside. We leave our family and our occupation and our ambitions, and we come and we take our shoes off and we leave them outside the Dharma hall. And with our shoes we leave all our expectation, all our opinions, all our views of what should or should not happen. And we sit. And we sit with this being that we call self. And we hear the Dharma. We hear these words of the Buddha for you to reflect upon, for you to take inside you. Is it true or not? If I let go a little, is there really a little more peace in my life? Well, you will know that when you apply it to your life, when you practice this way of putting down the burden of the past that you carry. And you feel lighter. And the smile arrives on your face. When the Buddha became enlightened under the Bodhi tree in the what is now the small town of Buddha Gaya, he smiled. That moment where he had released everything that contributed to his unhappiness or his discontent or his suffering, the only response was a smile. That beautiful smile of relief. It's finished. No more struggle with life now. Now I can just continue. And so he continued and he taught and he shared his wisdom and his love with us. And then it was passed down from teacher to disciple, teacher to disciple, teacher to disciple. And now we share it here from pure Dharma to those who want to, it's not change your life, although that of course is a part of it, but who want to commit to a practice of liberation, who want to let go of the parts of those troublesome parts of their life. And this then becomes the whole practice. We sit on retreat. It's a way to practice intensively, very beautiful. It's an environment of love and support. You're not left wandering around by yourself, wondering what to do. You feel very supported. But the practice is demanding, we can't deny that. And then we have our daily practice. You finish your retreat and you go home, you're inspired. You think, I'm going to practice every day. That often is easier said than done, but that's what happens. So we have to bring this into our ordinary everyday life, not just sitting half an hour in the morning and evening, as I said earlier, but in every opportunity, when you're at work, when you're with your family, when you're with your friends, to recognize that all these thoughts, moods, feelings and emotions that you're meeting are like clouds passing through the sky, and what seems to be important now, maybe in 10 minutes, won't have any value at all. So relax a little bit, take a breath. Let these things arise and show themselves to you fully. And then we have the loving-kindness practice, to take care of yourself. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. We just need to be gentle and loving and determined. So this is how to understand Vipassana when we do our retreats. Because I trained in monastic conditions, that's really what we're sharing, my way of training for all those years. And the reason to offer it is so that you can benefit. Everything in your life is about you. So the less fear and hatred and desires you're carrying, the happier you will be. So this Dharma is shared with you so that you can be happy. And then you will share that happiness with all beings. So I offer these few words for your consideration and your reflection, and may you all be well and happy. And I thank you.